Kimraha Huladunia, Fauchagoo, Olde Scot the Celtic podcast. On today's show in Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig, we will continue a 25-week beginner's Gaelic course with lesson 10. We're also going to talk about Micheal Collins, and we had a 3-part series going on, and today's the final part. We're doing that in Celtic history, and you'll hear about the Lady of the Lake. It's a Welsh legend, not the Arthurian Lady of the Lake, and we'll do that in everyday Celtic ways. Now, throughout the program, we're going to hear music from Julie Fowlis, Kathleen McInnes, William Coulter, Anne Vordick, which is Anne Murray, and Isabel McCaskill of Celtic Women. And as always, it's a wee bit of Irish trivia to test your knowledge, to start us off. After the Free State of Ireland was formed, what reason does Micheal Collins give for why Eamon de Valera sent him to negotiate in London? All right. Check out the Olde Scot Facebook group where you can be a part of the Celtic culture, post memes, give me ideas, tips, even criticism. But be nice. All right, Feuchamaich, let's kick this thing off.
Sorry leishin lad, snur ni marochog, elan miaunarde, faren havio, mocheires, Grianen spare for us, for the Knelnahaya, Sail Shachastor, Kurmagiri Glasgow, Parsnyavoch Ricarden noch gemacht hat Ulua sharpuaganatar au na graia is gal nicht Shadi en Pedria Ria Chana Sprayamach kam fiaroch mating irianichung nu shakiriskia schenken iakul kame helm bengianarik is an here for
Alrighty, that was Sorry Lesh Anach by Isabel McCaskill of Celtic Women. And now, Han Tom and Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, it's time for Let's Try a Little Gaelic. I do not represent myself as an authority on the Gaelic language, only someone who loves learning it and wants to help others. What I teach comes right from the textbooks of well-respected Gaelic teachers, so I hope you find it interesting, informative, and fun. Now today we're in that 25-part Gaelic lesson. We're at lesson 10, and of course, as always, I display on the screen what I am discussing. All right. Start off. vocabulary to help you in telling time, which isn't always done so precisely. Sometimes they're a little vague in Gaelic. All right. So we're going to give you the English and the Gaelic, and I'm just going to run through these real quick, and you can come back to these anytime for reference. Time, which is tim. Second is jig. Minute is minich. Hour is urahicha. I've also seen it as just ur. Day is laha. Week is shaktan. Weekend, Gaidhlig shaktan. Fortnight, kolajig. Month, mias. Season, wraith. Year, bliana. As bliana ur, Happy New Year. A decade is a jekich. And a century is a lean. All right, let's move on to times of the day. And you'll see a picture on the screen. We're going to have day, which is la. Morning, which is matin. Afternoon or evening is fesker. Night is oichia. And of course, say you wanted to say in the night or in the morning, it's ansavatin in the morning, ansafesker in the afternoon or evening, and ansa oichia in the night. Now, to talk about sunrise or sunset, you would use Beagan la or Beagan oichia, which means the mouth of the day or mouth of the night, meaning the beginning of the day or night. Now, another way to say the same thing is Irin Glian or Dolfoda Naglian, which means the sun rising or the sun going down. All right, let's go ahead and move on to times of the week. You have today, which is Anju, yesterday, Anjay, tomorrow, Amarok, and the day after tomorrow, Anrir. Now, telling time, sometimes it can be vague, but other times it can be precise. So you've got, like, question J and Ur Hae. What time is it? You have Ur, which means hour, or it means 1 o'clock. And of course you have Uren, which is hours. Okay. Of course you also want to use the construction, the Hae. It is whatever. Hae blank Uren. It is whatever o'clock. Okay. Because these are masculine. That's why I use the E, the A. All right. Now you're going to see a picture of the clock face up there on your screen. And we're going to run through these real quick. I'm going to tell you it is this or it is that. It is Hae Ur. It is 1 o'clock. Hae Da Ur. It is 2 o'clock. Hae Tri Uren. It is 3 o'clock. Hae Keher Uren. It is 4 o'clock. Hae Koik Uren. It is 5 o'clock. Hae Shia Uren. It is 6 o'clock. Hae Shak Uren. It's 7 o'clock. Hae Ach Hak Uren. It is 8 o'clock. Hae Noi Uren. It is 9 o'clock. Hae Jek Uren. It is 10 o'clock. Then Hae Un Ur Jig. It is 11 o'clock. And you also have Hae Da Ur Yig. It is 12 o'clock. Although that tends to just be turned into Hae Mian La, which is it is midday. Or if it's midnight, Hae Mian Oichia. It is midnight. Okay. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about a little bit of the incremental parts of telling time, like, 6:30. The word for half is le. Le ur is half an hour. Le Ur and J is half past. Ha-e le Ur and J, Shach Uren, or that's at 7:30. Ha-e le Ur and J, Keher, it is 4:30, and so on. Then if you want to say it's 1:45, it's Karshel Gu, 1:45. Koik minutes Gu, 5 minutes to, and so on. All right. So that's pretty much it for telling time. You can play around with it, make some sentences, and of course, as always, I've got 6 of them here for you to translate. Let's start off with number 1. J and Ur la ha-e. 2. Ha-e le Ur and J Ur. 3. Kunyaha'u adol yaki. 4. Aktri uren. 5. Avelu adol yaki aktri uren. 6. Hami adol lamak ak and J keher. All right. That's it for Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig. I hope you enjoyed it.
Chalam rúnean yegu, sarsnelach tíneas de yeshin. Gyar vadarish, gyar da hul, buaning Sva mer I vinjetram, Jawas ach kjærst, imsjach dønde. Fulangach trin, glach diegal, gniev gняв. Skalar gan veng, twygsjach gleste, Micheal fein, ruskach skilvach. Choshin you clue, haul neving, svast na vaping, Plava doch wie viel I múrneach, machgan tak hav, kein fiúant. Furie nacht, ugni túrsach, as of yarn nach gavdune.
All right, that was Dohalam by Julie Fallis. Today, Celtic History Break, we're going to do that final part in the Micheal Collins series. It's called Micheal Collins Wages War. Now, the first unit, which would become known as the Black and Tans, arrived in Ireland on March 25th, 1920. And then in September of 1920, the British sent an additional 1,500 veteran British Army officers known as auxiliary cadets or Auxies to help the Black and Tans in the guerrilla war effort. Now, although precise numbers are hard to determine, most historians agree that even at the height of the Black and Tan War, the IRA had only about 3,000 active members fighting, more than 50,000 British soldiers. Now, 15,000 Black and Tans, 10,000 RIC, and 1,500 auxiliaries. Moreover, even in County Cork, which was probably the IRA's strongest area, the IRA only had about 300 active members fighting, and they were fighting more than 12,500 British troops. Now, one of the things that caused the British to fear Collins the most was his relentlessness and the success with which he had tracked down his enemies. For example, when the Irish were being rounded up at the end of the Easter Rebellion, Collins saw one of the British officers, Lee Wilson, and he saw him mistreat several prisoners, including its eldest leader, the 58-year-old Thomas Clark. Now, Collins remembered the incidents and swore to avenge it. And in June of 1920, more than 4 years after the Rising, Collins learned that Wilson was working as an RIC district inspector in Gorey, a small town in County Wexford, and on June 15th, Collins had Wilson killed. All right, and another RIC district commissioner, Ferguson Smith, had advocated a shoot-on-sight policy against the IRA. Now, Commissioner Smith was tracked down and killed by the IRA on July 18th. So when the Lord Mayor of Cork, Thomas McCurtain, who also was the leader of Cork No. 1 Brigade of the IRA, was killed by the British on March 20th, 1920, Collins learned that RIC District Inspector Oswald Ross Swainsey was one of those responsible. Now, the British, in an effort to protect Swainsey from IRA reprisals, transferred Swainsey from Cork, which is in the southernmost part of Ireland, to Lisburn in the north. However, Collins' vast intelligence network was able to track Swainsey down, and a special hit team was dispatched to kill him. They achieved their objective on August 22nd. As Swainsey was coming out of church, the single most devastating attack on the British occurred on November 21st, 1920. Late in that year, the British sent numerous Secret Service agents to Dublin in an attempt to infiltrate the IRA High Command and to kill or capture Collins. Now, those agents became known as the Cairo Gang because they had previously been working in Cairo, Egypt. Another story is they got their name because they hung out at the Cairo Cafe in Dublin. Now, because of his own intelligence network, Collins learned about the plot, and he was able to identify many of the agents. Now, once they are identified, Collins launched a preemptive strike, and on the morning of Sunday, November 21st, the squad, that was his linchmen, his hitmen, attacked simultaneously throughout Dublin and, according to different accounts, assassinated at least 13 and possibly as many 20 British spies or soldiers. Now, one of those who participated in the killings was Sean Lemass, who would later become Prime Minister of Ireland. And in retaliation, the British drove to a Gaelic football match at Croke Park, which is the Gaelic Athletic Association stadium there in Dublin. And later that day, they fired into the crowd, killing 13 fans and 1 player. Now, the day's events would forever be remembered in Irish history as Bloody Sunday. Now, Collins would later write of it that, for himself, his conscience is clear. There's no crime in detecting and destroying in wartime the spy and the informer. They have destroyed without trial. I have paid them back in their own coin, he says. Now, 6 days later, Arthur Griffith, who was president of the Dáil, was arrested, and Collins then became its acting president, as well as its Minister of Finance for the President of the IRB, which is the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and Director of Intelligence, Director of Organization, and Adjutant General for the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. In December, the British sent out word that they were looking for a peaceful resolution of the Irish situation. And on December 7th, the British insisted that the IRA would have to surrender its weapons before any talks could begin. Collins rejected that demand right out. Now, during the Black and Tan War, Collins had helped numerous escapes that only added to his legendary status. On several occasions, his offices were raided, and he just narrowly escaped by running out the back or running up to the rooftop, and on several occasions he was stopped and even questioned by the British, but they failed to recognize him, primarily because they did not have a good photograph of Collins, and he had spent part of his time, spreading misinformation about himself and what he looked like. But part of his success came from his sheer audacity. There were numerous times when he was approached by the British at checkpoints. Although he was the most wanted man in Ireland, he never wore a disguise. Rather, he dressed as a businessman, wearing a suit and tie, and rode a bicycle throughout Dublin. Now, Collins also relied for his safety on a vast network of friends and spies, and his reputation for ruthlessness. Now, most of the Irish supported Collins, and those that didn't support him realized that if they had turned him in, they would not live to spend the reward money. So, on May 25th, 1921, the IRA launched its biggest operation of the war, when 120 men attacked and burned the Custom House in Dublin. Now, it proved to be a costly operation, with 6 IRA men being killed, 12 wounded, and 70 captured. Now, despite its apparent failure, however, the attack did have a decisive psychological impact on London, and on June 22nd, King George V, in a speech in Belfast, proposed peace talks on July 11th, and a truce was declared. Treaty negotiations started in London on October 21st. Among the British negotiators were David Lloyd George and Winston Churchill. Eamon de Valera sent Collins, though, and as one of the 5 Irish delegates, Collins strongly objected, feeling that as a soldier he had fought the war. It was not his position to negotiate the terms of any treaty. He also stated that the task of being a delegate was a lonesome one, but that he went in the spirit of a soldier who acts against his judgment at the orders of his superior officer. And once Collins became a member of the treaty delegation, he became totally committed to working for a peaceful solution. During the negotiations, Collins, a devout Catholic, arose early each morning to attend daily Mass. And after more than 6 weeks, the parties finally reached a compromise agreement on the morning of December 6th. Although the treaty did not provide for a complete and free Irish Republic, it did create the 26-county Irish Free State, which had Dominion status, leaving the 6 counties in Northern Ireland as part of Great Britain. As Lord Birkenhead signed the treaty on behalf of the British delegation, he remarked, "I may have signed my political death warrant tonight." Collins, realizing that many die-hard IRA members would oppose any compromise with Britain, grimly replied, "I may have signed my actual death warrant." And I think he meant it. The proposed treaty still needed to be ratified by the Dáil. When the Irish delegation arrived back in Dublin, it found its parliament split over the issue. Those who opposed the treaty did so because it did not establish an Irish Republic, only giving Ireland Dominion status, and because it required the Irish to take an oath of allegiance to the British Crown. Now, in light of future events, it is amazing that the partitioning of Ireland was not a major issue. The debates in which Collins and his supporters backed the treaty and Eamon de Valera and his supporters opposed the treaty were extremely bitter. and on a number of occasions Collins was accused of treason and cowardice. Finally, after a month of heated arguments, the treaty was approved on January 7, 1922, by a vote of 64 to 57. After the vote was taken, de Valera and his supporters walked out of the Parliament, thereby taking the first steps that would ultimately lead to civil war. Now, Arthur Griffith was then elected President of the Parliament, and Collins was appointed Minister of Finance. However, in addition to the Irish Parliament, the Irish also had to set up a provisional government to handle the transfer of power from the British to the Irish. Collins became the chairman of that provisional government. The walkout by de Valera and his supporters led to the breakup of the Sinn Féin party into the pro-treaty and the anti-treaty factions. In fact, the two main political parties in Ireland today can trace their origins to that event. They can trace their origins to that event. Those who supported the treaty would eventually form Fine Gael, which de Valera and his followers would end up forming Fianna Fáil. Now, unfortunately, political differences also extended to the IRA, which broke into two separate factions. Those that opposed the treaty retained the IRA name, although the government referred to them as the irregulars, and those that supported the treaty and remained with the government became known as the Irish Free State Army. During the next few months, there were isolated incidents of violence between the two factions, and on April 14th, the IRA seized the Four Courts, which was the Irish Judicial Centre in Dublin. Now, the Irish Civil War started on June 28th, 1922, when the Irish Free State Army attacked the Four Courts and swiftly seized control of Dublin. The IRA, however, controlled much of southern and western Ireland. Once the Civil War started, Collins became Commander-in-Chief of the Free State Army. Technically, it was the National Army, since the Irish Free State did not come into existence until December of 1922. Now, over the next few weeks, the Free State Army drove the IRA from its strongholds. The biggest victory occurred when the Free State Army made an amphibious landing outside of Cork City, taking the IRA completely by surprise and driving it to the surrounding countryside over the next few days. On August 20th, Collins left Dublin for an inspection of Cork. He arrived in Cork later that evening and spent the next day meeting with commanders. On August 22nd, he departed the city to tour western Cork around 7:30 p.m. His small convoy entered a little valley called Ballinavagh, which was only about 15 miles from where he had been born. A small group of IRA men had heard that Collins was in the area and had set an ambush for him. Shots rang out from the hillside, and in the short gun duel that ensued, Collins fell dead. It was a supreme irony that the man who had perfected guerrilla warfare and who had escaped death numerous times in the hands of the British would be killed in a guerrilla ambush by his former comrades in his home county. The Civil War continued until May of 1923, when the IRA declared a ceasefire. Even though the Free State Army had clearly won, the IRA never officially surrendered. Instead, it took the fight into the political arena, and in 1932, God, I can't talk for some reason tonight. In 1932, Eamon de Valera, who had been the leader of the losing side in the conflict, was elected prime minister. De Valera, or his party, would remain in power for most of the next 50 years. Finally, on April 18, 1949, the Republic of Ireland was established and formally severed all ties to the British Crown and the Commonwealth. One is only left to speculate that Micheal Collins would have been able to accomplish all that if he had lived. and had been able to govern Ireland during peacetime, of course. It's safe to say that in the course of Anglo-Irish relations, would have been much different had he lived, and that perhaps the problems of Northern Ireland could have been solved long ago. Now, Ireland's history books once depicted Collins in a bad light, but since De Valera's death in 1975, there has been a renewed interest in Micheal Collins by people who have only recently begun to appreciate what he did for their country. All right. That's it for Celtic History Break and the 3-part series on Micheal Collins. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. All right.
Alles te da gich nach gelile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Yerlem heen gebidding mach gut ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Koikner na shianer na shachner ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Smoking suicide var a pasiat ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Bidding kiachas blungen maski ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Id mogwaling for a facht ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho All the fianeth port and basti ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Spitting carstel life gach fer you ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Ferna juch you ferna chapten ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Ferred long vore sassing ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Ferna skrivet dadum kerst you ile no hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho ile no hi oro na hulling o hi oro ho Lashu penjaga hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Lashu monchi hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Hachadaram krokers na hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Golach vaja hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Skin vekna live hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Sidi poen njan hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Sidi poen Pilada hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Jan mi nudi hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Ger mi pakar hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Ut gare hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Botaching ramich hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Sounded de maheding hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Jungolan hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Vilket ferat began hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Sen klochta hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Ualchen pjalla hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Skutin horta hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Kupen en kleachka hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho Vanjachan pjade hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho iljo vajas na hiljora vaho
All right, that was okay. I'm gonna probably butcher this, but Alistair och ich Micheal Lahasul Ben Dul by Kathleen McInnes. All right, now it's time for Everyday Celtic Ways. Today, we're going to talk about the Lady of the Lake. And no, it's not the Lady of the Lake from the Arthurian fame, who gave Merlin the sword Excalibur. However, it's said that once upon a time in northeast Carmarthenshire, a young farmer sat down upon a large rock next to a lake. Across the water he could see a beautiful woman sitting upon the surface of the lake, called Lun Afanfach. She was on the surface, so he probably should have guessed something was up. But he quickly fell in love with her. But before she'd marry him, he had to give her two stipulations. First, he had to produce a perfectly baked loaf of bread, which is fair enough because everybody likes bread. And second, tell her apart from her identical twin sister, which is quite important for any relationship that has a twin in it. Both of which he duly did. Now, however, on their wedding day, she was forced to give him a third stipulation. She warned him that if he struck her 3 times, she would have to return to the fairy kingdom beneath the lake, and they would be separated. She would be separated from him forever. Now, the couple lived happily for many years, and the farmer was cautious to treat her only with kindness and loving care. But through the years, things happened, and after 3 accidental and completely innocent bops on the arm, while just going about their normal lives, she was forced to keep her pledge, for he had broken the third stipulation. She didn't like it, but she did return to the lake, leaving the farmer forever and hopelessly heartbroken. But he had lived some of the most pleasant years of his life with her, and after lamenting her for leaving, he sat down upon the rock which he had seen her from so many years ago, and died of a broken heart. The fairies that forced the third stipulation upon their marriage could now see that the farmer did love the lady of the lake. So they pulled his body into the lake, cast a magic spell upon him, bringing him back to life as a fairy, and then reunited him with his love, and the two of them lived forever in the fairy kingdom. All right, that's the Welsh story of The Lady in the Lake. It's a pretty nice story. I hope you liked it. That's Everyday Celtic Ways. That was Tír na Nog by Anna Vorlach, which is Anna Murray. Well, that's it for today's show. Hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, informative, and fun, while showing you the beauty of all things Celtic. Tapaleva Herchen. Sorry. Tapaleva Herchen. Thank you, friends, for all the support this last year. Now, before you go, the trivia question answer. After the Free State is formed, Eamon de Valera wanted someone else to bring back the bad news to Ireland because of his future political expectations. So this is why he wanted Micheal Collins to do the negotiations. Micheal Collins believed that he was sent to negotiate so that he would have to be the one to bring back the bad news. And Dave Valera could be saved from that task. All right. Remember to check out my YouTube channel, Olde Scot. Learn a Gaelic song videos and the Celtic podcast videos. I've got all the speaking our language videos on there, Celtic movies, and a whole bunch more. Also check out my Facebook group, Olde Scot, where you can give me your insights, inputs, on everything Celtic. All right. Martian Leavendrozda, bye for now. But I'm going to let you go with a song. And it's a Welsh song called City Nachumen by William Coulter. All right. Enjoy.